Hello, this is Michael Behrens, January 31st, 2021, on a cold morning in Northwest Austin on Lake Creek Trail, starting at about the middle of it by Morris Road. And I'm out during this cool low 50s morning with the north wind blowing with a sort of a specific goal in mind. A friend of mine down south in San Marcos had a purple finch coming to his feeder over the weekend, and I would very much like to find one here on Lake Creek Trail. So I'm not usually a fan of having a particular goal bird in mind when I go out. I like to just try to be open-minded and enjoy the outing. I hear a pine siskin, two pine siskins flying over. I like to just see what the outing brings, but sometimes it is fun to have a specific goal to as a little extra or a different kind of motivation. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of interesting things regardless of whether I find that particular bird or not, but let's see if I can find a purple finch. Here's an American Pipit in the creek bed. This is a species we only get in the winter time. It's a songbird that's often associated with water. And as you can see, they walk rather than hop. Spotted sandpipers do this tail bobbing as well. And I wonder if there's some advantage to that action when you're on wet ground, muddy ground like this. On the creek bed, I came upon probably the same group of about 20 least sandpipers. Boy, they're beautiful in this clear morning light. You can see their yellow legs. Looks like one has an injured leg, but still able to get around. A lot of these birds, if they can still hop and still fly, that's the main thing. If they can fly, then they can still get along. It's a windy day. North wind started up last night. So neat to have these sandpipers here on our neighborhood creek. These might be on their way north already, being almost February. Came into the woods to try to get out of the wind. I was lucky enough to see this ladderbacked woodpecker, have it fly in. It's a female. I don't see any red on the head. And behind me I hear tapping as well. It might be another ladderback, but I haven't found the one that's making the tapping sounds behind me. And there's a beautiful cardinal song you can hear. can see the horizontal stripes on the back where the Ladderback name comes from. I think that's a big grapevine that this woodpecker's perched on. And these woods are loaded with American robins. I noticed movement. Maybe I'll try to capture some of that next. Robins are ground-oriented birds despite their bright red breast. You can see how dull their back is. I think, like cardinals, they're able to, despite their bright coloration, they can lean forward and hide that coloration. So you can see if one robin isn't in a good light, I can just find another one. You can see the striped throat, the partial eye ring on this. Things have just quieted down a little bit, and this robin is looking up and not foraging. I wonder if this is mild alarm behavior. So just after I mentioned noticing that robin was not foraging, was looking up, I wondered if that might be mild alarm behavior. Then right after I stopped recording, a couple walking 4 or 5 big dogs came down the trail, and that's what the birds had been anticipating, had sensed before I did, and reacted in very subtle ways by quieting down and being more attentive to their surroundings than to the immediate foraging that they'd been doing. Very cool stuff. So I'm approaching a dense area of woods because I started hearing first a ruby-crowned kinglet, and then a couple Carolina chickadees started alarming. Robins started flying that way too. Now I think there's a Carolina wren. I see a Ladderbacked Woodpecker in the group. A blue jay. There's a cardinal joining in. They have found something. These birds have found something. Maybe a snake. I hope you can hear this. Hope my iPhone mic is picking it up. But these birds have found something they don't like. And I'll see if I can creep a little closer and find out what the cause of the alarm is. I'm at the spot where the bird umbrella alarm was taking place, and it seemed to be right around this big bowed willow trunk. And I thought maybe I'd seen an eastern screech owl up there, but it just turned out to be some wood. So currently I do not know what the birds were alarmed about. they're much more perceptive than I am, so it's not surprising. And often this happens where I see this umbrella type alarm of multiple bird species getting excited about something, and then I can never find out what it was they were excited about. But still very cool to have witnessed. Here's a female Downy Woodpecker foraging in a willow tree. Look at that white stripe that goes down her back. Oh, and you can just see the left outer white tail feather has a couple dark marks near the end. That's a plumage difference between Downy Woodpecker and hairy Woodpecker, which is very similar in plumage, although hairy is substantially bigger with a different, longer bill. Downy Woodpecker is year-round resident here in the neighborhood and on Lake Creek Trail, and it's our smallest woodpecker. You often see them joining in mixed species foraging flocks with chickadees and titmice. Another very cool, very fun component of our bird community here. You can see the back of the head. David Sibley has a neat blog article about Downy woodpeckers, some others too, having eye marks on the back of their head. It looks the front of their head makes the stripes make the back of the head look a little bit like the front of the head. A little bit of a safety measure. Predators might think they're being looked at. Great opportunity to watch this Downy Woodpecker in the woods, out of the wind. Now you can see those little two stripes on the tail a little better. The left outer tail feather. Here's a red-tailed hawk. Starting to try to soar, I think. Beautiful. See the reddish tail when it banks, and hopefully you can see under the leading edge of the wings, the dark leading edge of the wings, like a dark line right under the leading edge to each wing. That's the best field mark for red-tailed hawk. Super successful, versatile species. This is usually the species you see perched on the light posts on Mopac or 183. Hey, second bird. No purple finches this morning. Not even very many house finches, but I'm not at all disappointed. It was a really fun morning. Got to see American goldfinches starting to get more color, feeding on the ash tree buds down on the creek bed. I got a beautiful look at a single American Pipit, a small group of least Sandpiper Might be my favorite neighborhood bird, at least sandpipers. And then I went over into the on the west side of the trail in the woods. The woods were loaded with robins, and I got to see a couple neat reactions from the birds, showing how perceptive they are. When I was recording one of the robins and it just started looking up and not foraging, I thought that might be a clue that something was happening, and sure enough, I just stopped recording, and a couple walking 5 dogs came down the trail, and I said good morning to them, and they replied, and I said the woods are full of robins, and they didn't reply. And I thought that was interesting. I was thinking about it, and then I thought, well, gosh, probably for them the woods is not full of robins, because everywhere they go, the robins leave, temporarily at least. They hear this disturbance coming, they take off for a while, and come back later. And the dogs weren't barking or anything, the people weren't yelling, but just that presence of a group like that just has a very different effect on the birds in the woods. There was also the mixed group of songbirds that did the umbrella alarm that I could never find the source of, but it's always fun to witness something like that going on. So the morning, in my opinion, was a success, and I'm so happy I can record some clips from it and share it with everybody.